Welcome to episode 28 of America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction. My name is David Hunt, and I am your host. Please set your DVRs to record. The show could save your child's life. With us today is Cheryl Juaire. Cheryl is the president and founder of Team Sharing. Cheryl is the proud mom of 3 sons, Robert, Sean, and Corey. In 2011, at the beginning of the opioid epidemic, Corey died of an overdose at the age of 23. At the time, Cheryl didn't know anyone with a child who had died, let alone from an overdose. And for the next 2.5 years, she and her family grieved alone. Then one night, she received an invitation to meet other mothers who had lost a child from an overdose. It was then that she knew how much grieving parents whose child had died from SUD, needed one another. I met Cheryl at this year's Vigil on the Common at Woburn. At that point, I realized Cheryl has so much to share. She just absolutely had to be a guest on this show. Cheryl, welcome to my show.
Thank you, David.
So, you were at this year's Vigil on the Common. What was your role there?
So I came, I was actually invited to be a guest speaker there.
Okay.
It was for August 31st International Overdose Awareness Day event.
Okay, see, we have a picture that's going to be showing shortly of you and the mayor up at the podium. Mm-hmm. What was that like to speak with Mayor Galvin? Oh, here we are now.
It was an honor and a privilege to be able to be there. It was a beautiful vigil, very well done.
And you were also with our past guest, Carmen and Marie Lucchese, who actually organized the vigil, and this, of course, is after their son died of an overdose. Can you tell me your relationship with them? And we should have a vigil coming up. Yeah, here we are. I see the Lucchese's, I see the Mayor Galvin, State Rep Haggerty, yes. Brian Tagg, of course, the Lucchese family. What was that like?
Again, it was an honor to be there, to be invited. I met Carmen actually through my organization, Team Sharing.
And when did you begin Team Sharing, and you became a nonprofit? Can you tell us about that?
So Team Sharing actually began in 2015 after I met some of those moms that you had just mentioned. At first, these moms, we had. We met in Messenger, and we were messaging all the time. But eventually, our little group grew, and so I started a group on Facebook called Team Sharing in Massachusetts. We have up to 800 people right now in that group.
And how long did that take you to grow that, roughly?
To where we are today, we have 25 state chapters.
Wow.
We have a national organization with over 3,000 members, all parents that have lost a child to substance use disorder, or SUD. We became a nonprofit in 2017. We have a chapter in Canada, and we have a siblings chapter. So we are just growing, and not that that's a good thing, but it's a place for us to parents to grieve in our grief together.
I think it actually is a good thing that you've given people a place to talk to other parents that are alone and have an experience and not know what to expect and figure they're alone, or maybe they did something wrong and how did I miss this, and to realize sometimes it's not their fault. Exactly. Kids can hide this.
Exactly. No, and everybody has a story, and they're the same, but they're not the same. You know, our child all died the same, and we went through a lot of the trials and tribulations with our children just the same way.
Now, this next question, of course, is going to be difficult. It's hard enough to lose one child to an opioid epidemic, but 2 children. What can you tell us about Corey? How old was he when he died?
Corey was 23 years old when he died in 2011. And back then, in 2011, nobody really knew about this opioid crisis, opioid epidemic. So I knew Corey was using pills, but I thought it was recreational, and I thought it was a choice. I knew nothing about the disease of addiction as I do today.
Now, can you tell me, we got a nice picture of Corey up here now. What was he like as a child growing up in his early years? Let's make Corey the person. I hate numbers, not the statistic.
Right.
What's Corey like a child?
Right.
As your mom?
Well, he was my baby boy, so he was the last one of my 3. So my other 2 like to think that he was spoiled rotten, which, you know, he slept with me till he was 7, but hey, you know. So he was my baby boy, and he was the jokester of the family. He loved doing practical jokes. Jackass was his favorite show to watch, and he would take that and use it out there with his friends and buddies and me, and And so that was, he just loved to make people laugh.
Reconstruct the living room, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And where did Corey attend school?
He attended school in Chelmsford.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that was like?
He was just typical, played baseball. We moved to Marlborough when he was in high school.
Okay.
And he didn't stay in high school very long because he started getting defiant and the different things with, being on drugs.
Now, when he was in high school, what did he like to do with his friends? When they went out, did they party? Did they go bowling? Does anyone go bowling anymore?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No, he didn't do things like that. He was, Corey was torn between, I had remarried, so I was divorced from his dad. So he was torn between staying with us and staying with his dad. So he'd just have a girlfriend and he started getting away from those playing football and recreational things when he got involved with drugs.
Now, you mentioned that was around high school he first got involved?
Well, he was 15 years old when he had surgery for hernia.
I know where this is going.
And they supplied him with opioids.
I know exactly where this is going.
Right. And so I've learned that that's actually where his disease started.
And like I've stated so many times on this show, the person that takes it for a treatment isn't taking it to get high. He's taking it for the pain. The minute they stop the pill that he's on for the opioid, his body, again, isn't getting any pleasure out of this, but he now needs it to survive. He needs to get back to normal. And without that pill, and unfortunately, you can't get it from the doctor, now you're going on the street, let's try the heroin, and now it's, well, heroin does not carry the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. You don't know what the drug dealer is putting in, the fentanyl and mixing it, and it's just a deadly combination.
Well, he died from a heroin overdose.
God.
And, it was before fentanyl really started coming into the picture.
While we're on the subject of fentanyl, what can you tell us about that, about the drug fentanyl? It's non-narcotic use recreationally. How bad is it fueled this industry?
Nobody's using fentanyl recreationally. What's going on is fentanyl is killing our kids.
Yes.
Basically now it's when they get addicted to pills, and it usually starts with an opioid.
Okay.
Or it might start with the marijuana, and then the pills, the opioids, which gets them addicted.
Yes.
And then to heroin. But as you said, their body needs it.
Yes.
They're taking it to survive, not to
get high, not the pleasure.
Not to get high, right? And so now fentanyl is coming in with marijuana.
Correct.
It's coming in with cocaine. It's coming in pill forms that are exactly looking like Percocet, OxyContin. It looks just like that. So they think they're buying a pill to help them survive when actually they're buying something that's going to kill them. Most of the time it's 100% fentanyl.
And I understand now that 90% of all illicit drugs coming in somehow are laced with fentanyl without your knowledge. So people that are going to buy their even marijuana on the street, they're thinking it's just marijuana. How harmful can that be? Not even realizing it's laced with fentanyl, and that's not what they were planning on getting. They thought they're getting a simple joint. Especially now it's become legal in most states. They think, oh, I'll get it from my friend instead, and it's laced with a deadly drug.
Right.
Can you tell us how you found out how your son passed, and how did that also affect the family? The day you found out, what was that like as a parent? Let our audience know.
So Corey was supposed to fly down to Florida. He was going through some troubles and some issues, and I was living in Florida at the time. And I was trying to get a hold of him the day before he was flying down because I just wanted to make sure he had a ride to the airport.
Okay.
He was living in Boston, so he didn't have a car. And he wasn't calling back to me, and I'm like, something's wrong, and I'm pacing the floors. And so I called my oldest son, who's a police officer,
Okay.
and I asked him to call the Arlington police to go do a wellness check because he just wasn't calling back. And so my oldest son called me to tell me that Corey had passed away.
I'm sorry.
So, and I used his tickets that he was going to come visit me to go up to Massachusetts to bury him.
Oh, that was horrible.
It was horrible. Yeah.
How did that affect the rest of the family?
Devastated. I never saw it coming. Not in a million years saw it coming. He was my baby boy. I thought he was just making some really bad choices and that he was going to outgrow it.
Do you know which drug it was that he used that took him?
Heroin.
It was heroin. Okay.
Yeah. And there were needles in his in the house that he was living in. Yeah.
Let's talk about your other son, Sean. How was Sean introduced to opioids?
So Sean will tell you that he was introduced to opioids from Corey.
Okay.
He said that Corey told him one time when he was having a really tough day, take one of these little pills, they'll make you feel better.
Oh, yeah.
So Sean went down that rabbit hole as well. From 2013 to 2018, Sean was in amazing recovery from pills. But then I understood the disease of addiction. But we had gotten real close, and he worked for Teen Challenge.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that.
He went through the program, 15-month program, and then he worked for them, and he thrived there. That was the best job he'd ever had, and he absolutely loved it. And then one day, he had a bad day, and his wife's father had cancer, and he had some pills in his medicine cabinet, and so Sean just figured he'd take one just to take the edge off. And as we all know, a drug addict can't take one pill.
Now, people watching this are going to ask the question: if one of your sons saw his brother overdose, wouldn't you think that other person in the family would say, "Oh my God, I'm not going anywhere near this stuff"?
You would think, but drugs tell you different. And after 2018, Sean became a person I had no clue who he was. He was the most kindest, giving, caring person in the world. He'd give you the shirt off his back. People loved him at Teen Challenge because you could call him at 3 o'clock in the morning and he'd drive to the bus station to go pick somebody up that needed help. That's what he did in those 5 years he was at Teen Challenge.
No, I have to really appreciate you being here, and the reason I'm bringing this up is when you lost Sean, can you tell us how recently this was?
So I just lost my second son, Sean, on June 25th, 2021. So just a few short months ago.
And then last month you were at the vigil, able to stand up in front of all those people and share your story.
I do a lot of advocacy work, and
I've noticed.
Addiction is an absolute horrible disease, but it can be overcome. Even though I've lost 2 children to it, the first one I didn't know anything about. Sean, I did, but the disease took my second son, and I couldn't help him.
And here you are today. You're still able to talk to help others.
Yep.
Well, Sean, obviously, I know Sean had a family. How did that affect the rest of his siblings, his family, and his child?
He has a daughter that's 26 years old with 2 children, and he has he just turned 11, Jonathan, a little boy that just adored his father. This little boy is suffering deeply. He's in counseling. He's going to a grief camp soon, but his father was his idol. And I know Sean would never have hurt him in a million years. Sean adored him as much as he adored Sean, but that's what addiction does.
Okay, now I understand you do a ton of advocacy around the country, not just the state, but the country. Can you speak right now about some of the projects you're working on at this point?
Well, one of them right now is we've been approved by the Registry of Motor Vehicles to have this specialty license plate throughout Massachusetts. But the trick is we need 750 applications for this to move forward, and in all proceeds will go to Team Sharing, which is a nonprofit, which we do so much in our nonprofit. We help with the burials. We do a lot of benevolence. We help Christmas parties for the children that have been left behind, that have lost a mom or a dad. We have Christmas parties here in Massachusetts. So, but this also brings awareness. So if people have this license plate on their vehicle, somebody might see it and say, you know what? I've got a child that has a problem. Maybe I can go talk to that person. And so we're hoping to bring awareness as well to this epidemic, and this is the first of its kind throughout the country.
Now, how would our viewers go about ordering one of these plates, getting involved?
Well, I would recommend you go to our website, teamsharinginc.org. It's on the website, and there's a little video you can watch about this license plate, and you can download the application there.
That sounds great. I think everybody should get involved in something like this if you can. It's a well cause, and you can show your support for this organization. Now, one of the many, many things that you have done is you're involved with Congresswoman Laurie Trahan.
Yes.
What can you tell us about Laurie?
So Laurie, I ran into Laurie. She's my Congresswoman. I ran into her in Washington, D.C. actually, and she heard about team sharing, and she looked into it, and she invited me to be her guest at the State of the Union address in 2021, and so that was, you know, for the advocacy that we do. So that was, 2020. I'm sorry. So that was really neat. But the biggest thing that we've been doing countrywide is we've been trying to get our flags lowered to half staff on International Overdose Awareness Day. So we've been reaching out to all our Congress people, our legislators, to try to get them to write laws so that this will be a law that every year on August 31st, the flags will be lowered to half staff.
You answered my question.
Oh, sorry. Laurie actually wrote, so 2 years ago, she wrote a letter to President Trump, asked him to lower the flags. We never got an answer. She did it again this year, but to President Biden, we did get an answer, and it was no, which doesn't mean we're going to stop. But we also got, we did get a proclamation from the president sent to my office declaring August 29th to September 4th Overdose Awareness Week. So that was really great. I wished I had brought it here.
But you did bring a couple of items. Would you like to share and show these to our viewers, please?
I would, because Laurie had told me that proclamation was coming from the president. So I was looking forward to it, but it came in a kind of a big box. So when I opened it, I got the proclamation, but there was another box inside.
Yes, I'd like you to share that with us, please.
Yeah.
In fact, I haven't seen it yet. She told me about it earlier before the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing it also.
Yeah, so when I opened it, there was a certificate here, and it says, the flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol on August 31st, 2021. At the request of the Honorable Laurie Trahan, Member of Congress, this flag was flown in memory of Sean and Corey Merrill on the occasion of Overdose Awareness Day. That's just like, I was not expecting that, so she did that, and
oh, wow.
And here is the flag that flew
nice.
over the Capitol on August 31st, Overdose Awareness Day, in memory of my children.
That's amazing.
It
that
is
you got
amazing.
recognized for something like this.
She's been a huge advocate for us, and she's not going to stop. She's not going to stop either.
Good, because I'm considering bringing her on my show. I was trying to catch up with her tonight at the vigil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Now, I know, again, you do a lot of things. To be specific, I understand that you were a guest at the State of the Union in February 2020. What can you tell us about that appearance?
So that was actually, it was an honor to have been invited by Laurie Trahan, they treated me like royalty when I got there, in the tight security and all that. But we went and watched I watched the State of the Union address when President Trump gave it, and it was just an honor to be there, to have been invited. Yeah.
Now, you have a project called the Christmas Project. What can you tell us about that? And if somebody wanted to donate, how would they go about doing that?
Okay, so every year we raise funds so that the children that have been left behind, like now my grandson Jonathan and Corey had a daughter Faith as well. They're both the same age. We send Christmas presents out to children that have lost a mom or a dad, in some cases both. And all across the country, if they belong in the Team Sharing group, one of our 25 organization chapters, we will send a gift to the child. And we've had instances where a mom would say, or a grandmother would say, my grandchild doesn't need anything, I provide everything that they need. And I will say, it's not about the need. Whether you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money, their hearts are broken just the same. So we just want to be able to send them a little gift of something in memory of their mom or their dad. And we've done it now 5 years in a row, and it's been huge successful. And so if you want to donate to that, there's a donate button on our website as well, teamsharinginc.org.
When I first was speaking to Cheryl, I asked her to send me a little bit about herself. Send me like a little resume or a little bio. The bio was 4 pages long, literally 4 pages long. I chose questions based on everything she's done, and she's done so much and accomplished so much. I'm literally talking 4 pages, single space, so I could choose questions from to ask her about. And we could fill this show for 5 hours with it. But I'd like to go a little more into just a couple of other things that were on there. You did a march on Purdue. Can you talk about that for us? On not the chicken people, the pharmacy.
Yeah. We organized a march on August 18th, 2018. Okay. 2018.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, no, it was 2018.
Okay.
Because a lot of the parents, after losing their child, they don't just want to succumb to their grief. Over time, like myself, they want to be advocates as well. They want to do something. They want to know that their child mattered. So we had an opportunity to do a rally in front of Purdue Pharmaceuticals, and I created a Facebook event in the groups, and I said, who wants to join me? And we had between 400 and 500 parents show up all across the country. They flew in to be there with photos of their child. You can Google it, look it up under the Associated Press. That was our first biggest thing. So when there's an opportunity for advocacy, they're right there. These parents are right there because, and there are so many that have their own nonprofits and that are doing their own thing because what is the other choice? The other choice is just to succumb to our grief. And, you know, even though Sean just recently passed and I've lost 2 of my 3 children, I know, you know, I was just at a recovery event this past week in Las Vegas called Mobilize Recovery, led by Ryan Hampton, and he actually co-led the march in August 2018 with me. But anyways, he runs this event, and you know, I just had people who all knew me and were seeing me for the first time and coming up to me and saying, you know, how do you do it? How do you keep going? And you know, you're here and you just, you know, and it was like, what choice do I have? And I go because if I stop, then I'll die. You know what I mean?
I know. I tried to get you on the show how many times in the last month? This girl is everywhere.
Yeah. So I just have to keep going and keep educating and keep supporting and keep advocating and just do what I can. And so selfishly, it's for me as well, so that I can survive.
Now, when we're talking about Purdue, you use the term big thing. I'm going to creatively segue into this, I hope. I understand you brought a very big thing to them, such as 700 pounds. Could you talk about the 700-pound big thing you presented? You got it. It's on the website.
Well, first of all, it was 800 pounds.
I'm sorry, 800. It's on the website. We have to talk about it.
But that wasn't me. That was Dominic Esposito.
And what was that beautiful 800-pound thing you dragged up in front?
It was a giant heroin spoon. And he brings that to all kinds of buildings, not just that, the FDA, the HHS. He goes to Washington. He goes to the pharmaceutical companies, and he goes and he displays those in front. It's a giant heroin spoon. Within the spoon is black, you know, so it looks like there's tar in there. And yeah, it's Dominic Esposito, the Opioid Spoon Project.
And we're not going to show that tonight because if you want to see it, you're going to have to go to our website.
Yeah.
Now, I understand you brought this, I don't know why I said we, you brought this as a gift to Maura Healey, but not to be nasty, but as a tribute and a thank you for the work she has done?
Again, that's Dominic.
Dominic, okay, I'm saying you as collectively.
Yeah, Dominic, you know, I was there in front of the State House, but Dominic brought it and gifted it to Maura Healey for her role in the Purdue lawsuit.
That's great, but that really draws attention to the fact what's going on, and it makes people stop and stand and say, why is there an 800-pound spoon on the corner of Beacon Street?
Anything for conversation in education. And speaking of education, if I could
please,
for a moment.
absolutely, we could time, absolutely,
Okay,
please.
so team sharing also, and you can find it on our website, we have a trailer, and it's called Hope's Room.
Okay.
And it's an interactive trailer. It's like hidden in plain sight. So there's there's a teenage bedroom inside. And Gary and Tracy Carter take this all over Massachusetts, and it's for parents only, and the parents can come in and they will educate you on the different places that drugs may be hidden, that you would never know, that a teenager, so that they could go home and maybe look in the room, because early prevention is everything.
That's key there. I mean, I understand that fully. As some of our viewers are aware, I actually had Winchester Police Sergeant Dan Perenick and Dot Butler from SUD department on our show, and we showed about 20 different items you can hide drugs in. And I was in on this before we met on studio. I was with them, and I could not find, and I knew every one of those objects had a place for drugs. I could not find it for the life of me, especially the water bottle. They had me on that one. But every single, including power strips, yes, parents, power strips that still work as power strips have a hidden place for drugs. A simple water bottle, believe it or not. How do you put drugs in water? Well, you don't. There's a hidden spot there.
Right, and the sad thing is you can buy these things on Amazon.
Oh, absolutely. We had the Coca-Cola can, the Pepsi-Cola can. I brought one in, and I had my Coke can full of Coke, or at least baking soda for my neighbor, to keep things legal.
There's a light switch you can just unplug and have drugs in there, and so it's a good tool for education. So we do that as well.
Even the kid's mouse with the cord on it works as a mouse, and it holds enough Coke or enough heroin. There's enough room in there. Cheryl, before we close up, is there something you'd like to address our audience? Something that I haven't had a chance to ask you? I'd almost call them final words, but I think that's trademarked by another group.
No, I just go check us out. If there's a parent out there who's lost a child, a mom or a dad who's lost a child, and you feel alone and you have no place to go, please feel free to join our group. In Massachusetts, we have 800 members. It was our first chapter, so we have a lot of members, but they're just amazing. Recently, I went to a mom's home. 21 of us. Now, who would think that 21 moms who all lost a child would be together at a place and laugh and have fun? And we had a cookout, and it was shortly after I lost Sean. And when I got to the cookout, one of the moms gave me a big hug, and she said, I don't even know what to say, because it was my second. And they've all lost one, and I was the only one that's lost two. But she said, I don't know what to say. And she says, and I started to cry, and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come to this event and cry. And she says, we've all lost our kids.
How can you not cry?
We're all going to cry, But that whole day, what I'm getting at is that whole day, being with those 21 people, I was in my element. I was with my family. I was with my friends. And that's how we are with each other. When you meet another grieving parent, there's an instant bond, because we get it. We know. And so we do it all the time in Massachusetts. We are together all the time. We've formed family and friends that will never be broken.
I know exactly what you're saying. I'm with another organization in Woburn. I'm not going to plug it. It wouldn't be appropriate to plug the group, but it's a very large event that happens in Woburn in May. And it's mothers that came together, fathers that came together, that all lost somebody, and they can share what the treatments their kids went through, how close they were for a breakthrough, and then when they lost them, all the people that have recovered. And the whole key is being with someone you can share your story with, and someone that understands. Saying to somebody on the street is, well, that's a shame, I'm sorry you lost your son or your daughter, but they can't relate. But when you're with a group of people that have all lost somebody, they can relate to exactly how you feel. And until you find that bond, again, people can be sympathetic, people feel sorry for your grief and your loss, but they can't understand and feel what you're going through if they haven't experienced it.
And shortly after I lost Sean, I couldn't go into a grocery store. I was hyperventilating, and I couldn't figure out why. I never did that with Corey, because I was in Florida and he was up here, and nobody knew him down there. But it came to the realization that the reason I was doing that was because I was afraid I was going to run into somebody that I knew that hadn't lost a child, that wouldn't know what to say to me, or that would say they're sorry and make me cry, so I would ask my husband, would you go to the store to get milk? I just can't go to the store.
And then the nasty people too, they'll take it negatively.
And turn around and walk away.
And have absolutely no caring or humanity.
So it was when I was with those moms, and this was shortly after Sean died, that I realized that I was where I was supposed to be. And so for anybody out there who's alone, I suffered in my grief for 3 years alone after losing Corey before I met another mom. And I suffered in my grief because I had nobody to talk to and nobody that understood. But once we got together, it all changed. So, there are times when we read in the newspaper that there's a wake coming up because a child died. A lot of us moms will get together and we'll show up at that wake. We'll bring our brochure and we'll give it to the mom or dad, and we'll say, when you're ready, call us.
That's awesome, because they do need the help and the support.
We'll be there for you. Yep, that's what we do.
Before we close, I understand you brought a couple of goodies with you. Can you hold up the bag? I love it. I got one at the vigil. Can you show up the bags that you were giving out at the vigil?
Yeah, so
they're available.
Whenever you have tables, resource tables, you always do giveaways of some sort.
I noticed I snagged one. It's beautiful. I use it.
Yeah, so we did these, and these were donated, graciously donated by the Massachusetts Elks Association, which I have to say, they're amazing. They absolutely love team sharing. They support us 110%. They're forever donating to our causes, our Christmas. They're an amazing organization, and we're going to be having a motorcycle run next year.
Before we close up today, can we just get into the run real quick and let people know up and coming and save the day? Can you do that for us, or at least save the month?
So, that's not planned yet, but the next big event that we're having, and it's our biggest fundraiser, is a 5K, Remembering Our Angels 5K. It will be the day before Mother's Day in 2022, and I don't have the date in my head, but it's the day before. It's at the Moose Lodge in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and you will be able to see it on our website as well when we start the planning.
So you're going to please visit the website, obviously.
But right now our biggest thing moving forward is taking care of these kids for Christmas.
The website is quite extensive, so I would encourage people to check it out. In closing, I would like to thank our guest, Cheryl Juaire, for appearing today. As always, thank you for watching. Please share this program with your social media friends. If you or someone you know is suffering from a substance abuse disorder, you can contact the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline at 1-800-327-5050. The show can be seen on a rotating basis on Woburn Public Media stations and on demand at their website and, of course, on YouTube. As always, I have to thank the staff of Woburn Public Media for making this possible. Please enjoy our closing theme, Rise Above the Noise by Fireheart, through the credits. That means go all the way, guys. Watch to the end. For important contact information for some of our past guests and other people that have appeared and other help you can get, check out at the bottom of the screen. When you go all the way through the credits, we'll have a list of all the people and their contacts that have appeared on our show before. For America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction, I am David Hunt.
Above the noise, you hear us cry. There are people who care. Listen to the sound if you dare. Rise above the noise in the air. The sound not heard is what we bear. Listen to the sound if you dare. Rise above the noise in the air. The sound not heard is what we bear. whispers that I hear behind my back are those who never lost a child, a friend, and so they lack a sense of loss, a peace that's gone with no return. Above the noise is how we cope, above the noise is how we learn. The most important things in life I